Hello, my friends. Welcome back to English Lit Stories. Today we begin another powerful journey together. We are going to explore one of the most famous and life-changing books out there, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. This book has transformed millions of lives around the world and is considered one of the top books in the field of self-improvement. And today, it's going to be one of the best videos for your English learning and life growth. The Power of Habit teaches us some of the most powerful ideas that many books rarely teach. It shows us how to build powerful learning habits, stay consistent and patient even when progress feels slow, belief and success, and how to replace bad habits with better ones. I will first explain these ideas in simple, clear, and emotional English that will help you grow your mind and your life. Then, we will apply these ideas directly to English learning, creating a powerful journey for you. At the beginning, I'll use simple and emotional language, which will be a great warm-up for your brain. Then, gradually, the language will become richer and more practical. The sentences will get more engaging, and the vocabulary will become richer. This variation is intentional and powerful. And the best part? This is one of the greatest listening and shadowing practices for your English. As we follow this journey, you'll come up with new words, phrases, and expressions that will enrich your language and expand your mind. You will hear real-life language that will help you sound more natural, more fluent, and more confident. You won't just understand the words, you'll feel them, and they will become a part of you. Every word you repeat, every sentence you shadow, brings you one step closer to speaking English with ease and confidence. This is not just about learning English. This is about building a new, more powerful version of yourself. What you need to do is stay calm. Sit back and relax. Listen in a calm way. Trust the process, and let these words transform your English and your life. Let's dive in and start exploring the first powerful idea from The Power of Habit, the habit loop, how habits are formed and how they shape us. The first powerful idea in The Power of Habit is called the habit loop. Now, let's break it down together. The habit loop is the basic structure of every habit we have. It's like the foundation of all our actions, from brushing our teeth in the morning to studying English. So let me explain it clearly. The habit loop is made up of three parts. Cue. This is the trigger or signal that starts the habit. It could be anything around you, like a time of day, a feeling, or a situation. For example, the cue might be waking up in the morning or finishing a meal. It could even be an internal feeling, like feeling tired or stressed. Routine. This is the action or behavior you take once the cue happens. This is what you do when the cue happens. In language learning, this could be listening to an English podcast or practicing speaking for 10 minutes. Reward. This is the benefit or feeling you get after completing the habit. It's the reason why you repeat the habit. For example, after listening to an English podcast, you feel proud because your listening skills are improving, or you feel confident because you understood a conversation better. How to apply the habit loop to English learning. Let's break this down and apply it to learning English. Imagine you want to improve your English listening skills. Here's how the habit loop might look. Cue, you finish breakfast and you have 10 minutes before you start work. Routine, you listen to a 10-minute English podcast. Reward, you feel satisfied and confident because you understood a few words and phrases you didn't know before. By repeating this habit every day, your brain starts to crave the reward of progress. The more you practice English and feel that sense of accomplishment, the more your brain will want that feeling of improvement. Over time, it becomes automatic, just like any other habit you have in your daily life. The key to language learning is creating habits that are small, consistent, and easy to repeat. This way, the habit loop will make your English practice automatic, and you will keep improving without feeling stressed or overwhelmed. The power of cravings, why we stick to habits. Once your brain starts to feel the reward, you begin to crave the feeling. This is why habits stick. The more you practice English and feel that sense of achievement, the more you'll crave that feeling. This is what makes habits powerful. Your brain becomes addicted to the reward, and it motivates you to repeat the habit again and again. For English learners, the craving could be the feeling of fluency, confidence, or even the excitement of understanding a full conversation without struggling. Once you experience the reward of learning, you'll be motivated to continue. How to replace bad habits with good ones. One of the most powerful lessons from the power of habit is the golden rule of habit change. You can't just remove a bad habit, you need to replace it with a new, better habit. For example, if you're struggling with procrastination and you keep skipping your English practice, don't just try to stop the bad habit. Instead, replace it with something more positive. If you tend to scroll through your phone after work, replace that time with a 5-minute vocabulary practice or listening to an English video. This keeps the same cue, your free time, and the same reward, feeling accomplished, but you've replaced the bad habit, scrolling, with a good habit, learning English. The power of consistency. Small actions, big results. The real magic in the power of habit comes from consistency. Success doesn't come from huge efforts, but from small, consistent actions over time. For English learners, this means that you don't need to study for hours every day. Instead, focus on small, consistent actions. Even 10 minutes of practice a day can make a huge difference. This is why forming a habit loop and staying consistent will get you closer to fluency. Part 2. Why habits stick and how to change them. As we discussed in Part 1, once you begin a habit loop, your brain starts to crave the reward. This craving is what makes habits stick. Over time, the reward becomes so important that your brain automatically seeks it out. For example, when you practice speaking English and feel proud of your progress, you start to crave that feeling. The more you experience the reward, understanding more English or speaking confidently, the more your brain wants that same feeling again. The beauty of cravings is that they fuel our habits, making us want to repeat them over and over again. This is why positive habits are so important. The more you reward yourself with the feeling of progress, the more you'll crave the practice. How to apply cravings to English learning. Let's talk about how we can use cravings to stay motivated in your English learning journey. Think about the last time you had a small success. Maybe you understood an English podcast without subtitles, or you used a new phrase in conversation. That feeling of success is your reward. Now your brain will start craving that success again. This craving will push you to keep practicing every day so you can feel that same reward. For example, if you listen to English podcasts regularly, you will crave the feeling of understanding more with each episode. If you speak English every day, you'll crave the confidence that comes with being able to express yourself clearly. By creating these small wins, you are building the cravings that will make learning English a habit. And this is how success is built, by reinforcing the habit loop and the cravings that keep you motivated. The golden rule of habit change, replacing bad habits with good ones. Now, let's dive into one of the most powerful lessons from the power of habit, the golden rule of habit change. Here's the idea. You cannot simply eliminate a bad habit. You must replace it with a better one that still satisfies the same craving. This principle is especially helpful for language learners who struggle with inconsistent practice. If you find yourself procrastinating or skipping English practice, don't just try to eliminate the bad habit. Instead, replace it with a new, better habit that gets you closer to your English goals. For example, bad habit, scrolling on your phone when you have free time. Good habit, replace that with listening to an English podcast or reading a page from a book in English. The cue is the free time, the routine is practicing English, and the reward is the sense of accomplishment and the progress you feel. By replacing a bad habit with a good one, you are not only eliminating procrastination, but also building a stronger habit loop that leads to progress. How to build a powerful English habit. To apply this to English learning, start by identifying one bad habit that's stopping you from practicing. Maybe you're wasting time or letting distractions get in the way of your study time. Replace that with something productive. It doesn't need to be big. Start small. For example, if you find it hard to sit down and study for long periods, replace that with shorter, focused sessions. Try 10 minutes of listening practice every morning. If you struggle with speaking every day, replace the bad habit with a new one. Spend 5 minutes talking to yourself in English or shadowing a conversation. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step you take will help you build better habits and get closer to fluency. The importance of small wins, building momentum. One of the most powerful ideas in The Power of Habit is small wins. Small wins are small daily victories that create momentum. These small wins have a ripple effect. They not only make you feel good, but they also build up over time to create big results. For example, imagine you start practicing English for just 5 minutes every day. At first, it might not seem like much, but after a week, you'll have practice for 35 minutes. After a month, that's over 2 hours of practice. Small wins don't need to be big dramatic moments. They can be as simple as understanding a new English word, or completing a 5-minute speaking session, listening to English for 10 minutes during your commute. Every time you achieve a small win, your brain gets a dose of reward. This reward reinforces the habit, and you'll start craving that progress. Over time, these small wins compound into bigger successes. Your English will improve, and so will your confidence. How to stay consistent with small wins. To make small wins work for your English learning, start by setting small, achievable goals. Celebrate every small victory, whether it's understanding a sentence or practicing for 10 minutes. Be patient. These small wins will build momentum over time, and before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. In this part, we've learned how cravings and small wins keep our habits alive and strong. By replacing bad habits with good ones and focusing on small, achievable wins, we can create powerful, consistent English learning habits that will make progress feel easy and natural. Part 3. The Power of Belief and Consistency. How Habits Shape Long-Term Success. The Power of Belief. Why you must believe you can change. One of the strongest messages in The Power of Habit is that belief is the foundation of habit change. Duhigg argues that in order for any habit to stick or be replaced, you must believe that you can change. For example, think about when you first started learning English. Did you believe you could become fluent? Or did you doubt yourself and feel like it was impossible? When you believe in your ability to improve, your brain is more likely to stick to the habits that lead to success. If you don't believe that you can improve your English, it becomes much harder to create lasting habits. How to apply belief to English learning. For English learners, belief is critical. You need to believe that with consistent practice, you can improve your listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. Even if progress feels slow at first, you must remind yourself that small actions will compound over time and lead to fluency. This is where the power of positive thinking comes in. When you believe that you're capable of learning English, you are more likely to stay motivated, even when challenges arise. This belief will help you overcome setbacks and continue to practice regularly. Consistency, the key to long-term success. The next big idea from the book is consistency. Duhigg explains that long-term success doesn't come from one big effort. It comes from consistent action over time. For English learners, this means that small daily practices, even just 10 to 15 minutes a day, will lead to big improvements. It's not about studying for hours at once. It's about creating a habit and sticking to it every day. How to stay consistent in your English learning. Staying consistent can be difficult, especially when progress feels slow. But here's the truth. Small, consistent steps lead to massive progress over time. For example, practicing listening for 10 minutes every day will add up to 70 minutes a week. Reading one page of an English book every day will mean 30 pages a month. Speaking for just 5 minutes every day will make you more confident in conversation. Every day you practice, no matter how small, you're building momentum, and over time, you'll look back and realize just how much progress you've made. The key is to stick to the habit, even when it feels like you're not improving fast enough. The importance of patience. Success doesn't happen overnight. In the book, Duhigg does some talk about how your environment can influence your habits. The people you surround yourself with, the resources you use, and the space you work in all play a huge role in shaping your habits. For English learners, this means that creating an environment where you're surrounded by English content, whether that's books, podcasts, or conversations with others, will help you stay motivated and consistent. How to create a supportive environment for learning English. Surround yourself with English. Listen to English podcasts, read English books, and watch English shows. Practice with others. Join English study groups, have conversations with friends, or find a language partner to help you practice. Stay inspired. Follow motivational language accounts, watch success stories, and keep reminding yourself of why you started learning English. By creating an environment that supports your learning and keeps you connected to English, you will make your English practice feel easier and more rewarding. As we conclude this part, remember, belief, consistency, and patience are the keys to long-term success, not only in language learning, but in all areas of life. By believing in your ability to improve, staying consistent with your practice, and being patient with your progress, you will build lasting habits that lead to English fluency. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the power of habit. Stay focused, stay consistent, and remember that every small habit you form is a step closer to your English fluency. Your English is growing, one habit at a time.